Let's face it, I'm nostalgic, I love retro gaming, so whenever there's a chance to play some retro game collection, I jump right in. And that's what I did when Piko Interactive offered me a review copy for the game The Humans. What's even more interesting for me is that The Humans is an old title that I didn't actually get the chance to play when it was released for all major consoles and computers back in 1992. So it will be easy for me to judge this very fairly, since I don't really have that nostalgia going for it. So, elation and jubilation gamers from all around the world. I am Lucian and this is the World Gamer Show. And today we're going to talk about The Humans and answer that fatidic question: how does it hold up today? Is it worth it? Well, let's find out. The Humans is a puzzle platformer taking place in the prehistoric era, in which we guide a tribe of cavemen safely to their objective. It was developed by Magitech Design and released in 1992 on most computers and consoles of the time, including Amiga, Super Nintendo, and Sega Mega Drive and Genesis. And there was also a portable version released on the original Game Boy. And it's these versions that are part of this small collection, the console ones and the Game Boy version. That is actually a different game with different levels, even if the mechanics are basically the same. The collection is also available on Nintendo Switch and Xbox One, but we will take a look at the PlayStation 4 version here. The Humans was one of the first games in which we could control more than one character at once. In fact, our objective is to lead a bunch of cavemen safely to their destination. Objectives can actually vary. In some cases we simply need to reach an item, in others we need to defeat some dinosaurs or a rival tribe, while making sure that a minimum number of humans manages to stay alive before the end of the level. We will take control of each member of our tribe, making them perform certain actions like pick up an item, use it to jump or throw it, or even assume a position that allows another partner to climb, effectively allowing you to create a human tower. And all these abilities will be essential for progressing through the game, along with good thinking and a good dose of patience. Patience not only because this is a puzzle game, but also because, admittedly, the controls feel very clunky. Think more of a management game, clearly designed to be played with mouse and all, rather than with a controller. It's like playing Lemmings on a console. It's still playable, but not very comfortable. For example, each time you take control of a caveman, from which you can switch between one another with the shoulder buttons, you then need to press a specific button to select which function to give them, if to pick up an item or jump or take a tower position, and then confirm with the action button. Thing is, you can't scroll backwards through the available actions. You will need to repeatedly press the change button until you get to the right action you want. Today's joypad have tons of buttons, so it would have been nice to be able to remap each function to a button. To be fair, there is an option to rebind each button, but that really doesn't help, because it only remaps buttons associated to each function and not the functions themselves. You can't split functions and associate them to different buttons, for example, which would have been undoubtedly better. In the end, these games are just emulated and not reworked around the new technology. In another case, I was trying to throw this spear on the other side, so that the rest of the crew can use it to jump the gap, but I accidentally killed a body here. Whoops. But this is more of a flaw from the original game, which didn't hold up very well, I must admit. And I couldn't even find an option to restart the levels, because in some cases you can get permanently stuck. You can reset the game, of course, but it's not really that useful either in cases like this. Here is another situation, this time on the portable game. I went right through this platform and fell to my death. It's in situations like this, one chip death after the other, that a rewind feature would have been a blessing. But sadly, there isn't one. And this is a flaw from the re-release, as there isn't really a justification for this omission. Still, it's not like you can't get used to the controls, but you really need to get into the game itself and love it in order to overcome the clunkiness of it all. Maybe adding a cursor, like with Lemmings, would have helped. A cursor is actually available, but only on the Game Boy version, which automatically makes it the most playable in spite of its simpler graphics and much slower action, if you can believe it. But the cursor demonstrates also how much of a game changer it is, as it allows you not only to select your tribesmen in a much more convenient and intuitive way, but also allows you to explore the levels, strategize, and plan your moves much more in advance, which is a big help in a game like this, especially without a rewind function. It's just a shame that the other games didn't take note of this. After all, there's a reason if Lemmings did make use of a cursor, even on console ports. Speaking of Lemmings, The Humans shares the core philosophy, but to be honest it's far less immediate than Lemmings, and far less enjoyable as a result. Also, the cavemen are far less cute than the adorable suicidal rodents. Still, I would lie if I told you I didn't enjoy anything about The Humans. Levels are abundant and clever, with a solid variety of objectives and tools to achieve them. Also, the graphics were not that bad for the time, with varied backgrounds, sufficiently detailed and with bright colors. Well, not really bright colors for the Game Boy version. Still, if you liked the 16-bit version, the portable game has different levels. It's a nice bonus, made up of almost 30 levels. So yeah, longevity is definitely not a problem, but at the same time, I feel that this is a game that gives its best in short bursts. After all, repetition can set in pretty quickly. But again, in short bursts, this game can give quite some satisfaction. Because the level design is actually pretty well done, if somewhat sadistic at times. But overcoming a level that previously felt unbeatable gives back the best feeling. One curious thing, the store page for this game, and even the reveal trailer itself, actually advertised this collection as a 3 games package, but I could only see 2, at least in the beginning, the so-called 16-bit version and the portable one. Then I got in contact with the developers, who indeed confirmed that the games are 3, and that there is one unlockable 8-bit version. However, they must have realized that advertising 3 games when only 2 are available from the start can be a little misleading. So since my comment, and possibly those of many others, they wisely decided to update the store pages for all platforms, making sure to mention that the so-called 8-bit version needs to be unlocked. In fact, I had to finish one of the games for the third to actually become available. But to my surprise, it wasn't the advertised 8-bit version, but rather the 16-bit alternative version. Man, that got confusing. Well anyway, since it's basically a whole different game, it's worth spending some minutes to talk about it. This is the Genesis Mega Drive version and comes with its own set of levels. In fact, the whole game is different compared to the other ones. Different levels, different menus, different graphics, even different aspect ratio, which is actually widescreen. The controls of course needed to be changed, since this is emulating the Mega Drive controller that only came with 3 buttons, so no switching back and forth between characters. If you miss one, you need to keep recycling through each one. But the biggest offender in my opinion is the fact that there is no background music. There's music only during the menus, and man, this can get eerily quiet. Also no cursor, as usual. What a wasted opportunity there. This version is still a nice extra, but to be honest, they could have included this unlocked from the beginning and focus on other things as extras. So now that we got the games covered, let's talk about the collection per se and the emulation. First, the collection is curated by QUByte Studios. Now, I didn't play the originals, so I can't comment on the complete fidelity, but the graphics didn't present any glitches and the sound seems to be polished. What I can assure is that all the essential for a retro collection is here. We have different video dimensions available, and on the Game Boy version we can even choose which color we want as the base, including of course green and black and white. As previously mentioned, we can even remap the buttons, which is a welcome feature since I found the default mapping a little uncomfortable. You can also of course use the save states anywhere you want and load a previous game from exactly where you left off. Both games also use passwords anyway, if you want to go full old school. Or cheat. As I said, the essentials are there, but that's the thing. I was hoping for a little more than just the bare minimum. I would have liked to see a rewind feature, for example, but as previously mentioned, it's just not there. And the trial and error nature of the game would have greatly benefited from it, saving you from having to manually save and load at every step, especially because here saving and loading is a somewhat slow process. So I wish that either the saving and the loading was faster to compensate for the lack of a rewind feature, or maybe that these functions were relegated to shortcut buttons. After all, there are tons of unused buttons in the joypad. But most importantly, I would have liked to see a gallery feature of some sort. Instead, we got nothing. Not an artwork gallery, not a making of movie, nothing at all. Even just flyers and adverts of the original games would have been something. It's a shame because this package screams lazy from a mile, and there are also other versions left out that would have definitely enriched this package, like the episode for the Nintendo DS. What's included in this collection is decent, but I personally didn't enjoy it enough to be able to say it can stand on its own merit. It's a nice curiosity and a piece of forgotten history, but at the same time it also shows that sometimes there is a reason if a game is forgotten. If you played it back in the day and have fond memories, then there is no reason why you shouldn't pick this one up. While I didn't play it myself at the time, I'm surely happy that this compilation exists nonetheless, at least for history preservation's sake. If you enjoy micromanaging each and every action of each and every tribesman in your group of 4, then this might also be for you. But for everyone else, I'd rather wait for it to go on sale, then I think it could be worth a try. But this is just my opinion, and now I want to know yours down in the comments. Did you know about this game? Did you play it back in the day? Do you feel any nostalgia for it? Will you pick it up? Let me know down in the comments. Also, if you're into retro gaming and collections, I've already covered a really good old school compilation on PlayStation 2 called Title Legends 2. So feel free to check that out along with my other retro gaming reviews. So again, I want to thank you very much for spending some of your precious time with me watching this video. I will see you in my next one, but until then, stay safe, play safe, world gamers.